The sermon at Benares. Before you read, use a dictionary or ask for your teacher to help you discuss the following questions. What is a sermon? What is a sermon? Is it different from lecture or talk? Can the word be used in a negative way or as a joke? My mother's sermon about getting my work done on time. Find out the meaning of the words and phrases given in the box. Afflicted with, be composed, desolation, lamentation, procedure, be subject to. Have you heard of the Sermon on the Mount? Who delivered it? Who do you think delivered the sermon at Benares? Who delivered the sermon on the Mount? किसका था? Jesus Christ. And sermon at Benares किसका है? Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha, 563 BC to 483 BC, began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautam in the northern India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and 4 years later he returned home to 12 पे गए और 4 में वापस आए. तो कितना हो गया? कितना हुआ? 16. They had a son and lived for 10 years. इसके बाद 10 साल और रहे. कितनी एज हो गई फिर? 10, 26 हो गई. At about 25, Prince shielded from the suffering of the words. हेतोफोर जो अभी तक शील्ड थे, while out hunting, charged upon a sick man, an aged man, a funeral procession, and finally a monk. उनको 4 चीजें दिखाई पड़ी. क्या क्या? Sick man, aged man, funeral, and a monk, begging for alms. These sights so moved him that he at once went out into the world and seek enlightenment. Concerning the sorrows he had witnessed, he wandered for 7 years. So 25 plus 7, 32. And finally sat down under a peepal tree, where he vowed to stay until enlightenment came. Okay. Enlightened after 7 days, he named the tree as Bodhi tree and began to teach and share his new understanding. At each point he became known as the Buddha, the awakened or the enlightened. The Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Benares, most holy of the dipping places of the river Ganges. That sermon has been preserved and is given here. It reflects Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable kind of suffering. क्या है ये sermon उन्होंने क्या दिया? Inscrutable क्या है? Something which cannot be understood. तो वो सफरिंग जो समझ में नहीं आती है. ठीक है. अब ये उनका वो है. Kisa Gautami had only one son. He died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. She said, "She has lost her senses. The boy is." And the people said, "Boy is dead." At length, Kisa Gautam met a man who replied to her request, "I cannot give thee medicine for thy child, but I know a physician who can." And the girl said, "Please pray, tell me, sir, who is it?" And the man replied, "Go to Sakya Muni, the Buddha." Kisa Gautami repaired to the Gautama and cried, "Lord, Master, give me the medicine and that will cure my boy." The Buddha answered, "I want a handful of mustard seed." And when the girl in her joy promised to procure, Buddha added, "The mustard seeds must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent or friend." Poor Kisa Gautami went from house to house. The people pitied her. Here is a mustard seed, take it. But when she asked, did a son or daughter, a father or mother die in your family? They answered, alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless and sat down on the wayside watching the lights of the city. As they flickered up and were extinguished again, at last the darkness of the night reigned elsewhere. She considered the fate of man, that their lives flicker and are extinguished again. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief. Death is common to all, yet in this valley of desolation, there is path that leads to immortality, which has surrendered who has surrendered all his selfishness. The Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. For there is not any means by which those who when born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is death. If such a nature are living beings, as ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals when born are always in danger of death. Or as all earthen vessels made by potter end in being broken, so is the life of mortals, both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise. All fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. Of those who overcome by death depart from life. A father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen and their relations. Mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off, like an ox that is held to slaughter. So the world is afflicted with death and decay. Therefore the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the word. Not from weeping nor from grieving will anyone obtain peace of mind. On the contrary, his pain will be greater and his body will suffer. He will make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. He who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. He who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. Source: Betty Renshaw, Values and Voices.